The world is changing. A global software company is using artificial intelligence not only to turn formula racing on its ear, but the same principles can be applied to the business world. We're joined by Sanjay Srivastava, Chief Digital Strategist for Genpact. It's great to have you with us.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
So Genpact, under a different name, started as a subsidiary of General Electric. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the company's history and where you are today.
We did indeed. We started as a shared services within General Electric and actually perfected much of the work we do today around people and operating models and process and design. And today we drive digital transformation for large global corporations. And we do that by leveraging a lot of our expertise in the operating models and the process design, but equally bringing digital capabilities, which is all of the data fabrics, the artificial intelligence, the technology services, really to drive transformation as a whole.
It's really quite incredible that you went from having a handful of employees when the company first started to being in 30 countries today. And one big event that's coming up is the e-racing event that's happening in New York. And how does Genpact lend itself to formula racing?
Well, if you think about electric vehicle racing, EV racing, it's really about data and technology. You've got teams on the circuit that come out, and as they race, they're using the same chassis, they're using the same battery. There's some differences in powertrains, but most of the differences around how you run the software. So I like to say the hardware is the same, it's the software that makes a difference. And indeed, you start a racing season, at the start of the season, you've got the same car, and you end the racing season, you've got the same car. But through the season and across the races, performance goes up. And the reason it's going up is every single time we race, we learn, we innovate, we bring data, we bring analytics, and we run AI on it, and we use that to drive even better performance. And so it's just been a fantastic season this year. We raced in New York, which actually was one of the most exciting races, I think, this season. And then we're looking forward to the ones upcoming as well.
Well, you certainly picked something very exciting to use as almost a case study for how AI works in the world. So how would you take that data and technology and apply it to the real world that people watching right now can apply to their own business, to their own lives?
Yeah, it is actually a really interesting use case, because if you think about it, what we're trying to do is bringing in thousands of data points. You've got all of the telemetry in the car. You've got all the extrinsic data points like weather and temperature and friction and all the sorts of things that would impact the performance on that road. You're bringing in a lot of information about the audience and their engagement. And then, of course, you're tracking your own performance of your drivers, as well as the competitive performance of other drivers. So you're looking at all of this data and you pull it together, and then you run the AI and analytics on it to be able to drive the insights that drive better decisions and drive better performance. But the interesting thing is, if you take a step back from there, it is really the same idea. It's about building a foundation of data and getting the data fabric in place. It's about using AI to harvest that data to drive insights and be able to propel the business forward. Now that we have the advantage of the technologies that we have today as opposed to years ago, we'll deliver a different experience, we'll improve the quality of engagement, we'll have much more sticky presence, and all of those things in turn will help corporations drive better top-line growth, more sticky experiences, and really a fundamental differentiation in their business models.
And it seems like the mission behind Genpact and everything that it does has the global impact as one of its several-pronged approach. So would you say that the environmental impact of your business is something that is kind of the first and foremost thought as you endeavor into these various sectors of life?
We are absolutely focused on sustainability and the long-term trajectory of carbon intensity. We do everything we do ourselves, but more importantly, we serve clients and helping them get on top of their sustainability goals and helping them think through baseline where they are and then actually work through the recommendation engines to get to where they need to get to. It's one of the reasons we got involved with Envision Racing on the e-bricks pre-circuit. And part of the idea is, if you think about that race, it's really about two things. It's about innovations that we build in the race course. So the AI that our teams are building, the analytics that we're actually working through, the models that are getting perfected, they're the sorts of things that are helping us win races today, as we did recently. But more importantly, they're the things that will transcend from the racing circuit to the cars you and I drive, and will define and drive the future of e-mobility. There's a long track history of things that get invented on the race course, your seat belts, your rear view mirrors. In the EV context, 800-volt architecture for fast charging batteries are all coming down to the cars you and I drive.
Sure.
And so that's part of what we're trying to do here. The other part of e-racing is actually getting the awareness out. It's about racing electric vehicles in the roads that you and I will drive in downtown city locations, so we can relate to it, that we can see these cars go at these amazing speeds in the areas that we live, on the surfaces we drive, and we can look at that and say, well, there is an alternative. This is something we can do as well.
Sure.
And so the future is all electric, and so the racing circuit allows us to sort of take that out. But really, well beyond that, we work on sustainability goals with our clients. We serve them in many different ways, but we put data, we put AI, we put change management to bring that to play.
Right. Well, they say it's a great metaphor, e-racing, because they say life is a race, isn't it? So we appreciate you telling us more about Genpact and how it's making an impact on the globe and in the future. I want to thank you, Sanjay, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We're back after this.